Okay guys, I just wanted to talk to you today a little bit about maintaining your truck, what to carry in the truck. So often I'll hear of guys, well, I was doing such and such, I came across this kind of spot, or my machine broke down, or my vacuum broke down, or whatever, or I didn't have this kind of pad with me, and they run home or they go run to the store and then come back on the job. And I always found that to be rather abhorrent. I'm not one much for going to a job and having to leave for any purpose. So I thought I'd go through a few things that I always carried on my truck. First of all, I carried two machines. I don't care what machine you're using, what machine you're using, but say I was using an MX or a Grumpy for my regular machine, I wouldn't expect to carry two Grumpies or two MXs. What I would do is I would either carry an MX or a Grumpy and a Champ, or any of the other OP machines, any of our older machines. Heck, even to worst case scenario, carry a rotary along with you. Just the fact that you have another machine to finish the job. For example, if you're hot water extracting, that's great, but if your truck mount breaks down, you pull out a portable. It doesn't really matter what portable you have, you want to be able to finish the job. Well, that's kind of the way we would run on the truck, is to make sure we could always finish the job. So I would carry at least two machines. The reason I personally would carry I usually like using the MX, but I would carry a Champ simply because not only is it a lightweight alternative, it's really great if you got to do something where you got to go upstairs. You don't mind pre-spraying ahead of time, which especially doesn't matter if it's used for a second machine, but the Champ is also probably the best machine to use for doing grout and tile. So basically I have two machines for different applications. The Champ would have the grout and tile brush on it, but the brushes are interchangeable, so no matter what happens, I would be good on the job. Also, I'll carry parts. I may want to just carry a O-ring with a bearing. I may want to carry a couple other jets in case they get plugged up and I don't want to spend a lot of time on the job cleaning them out or whatever. I'll even maybe take a couple pieces of hose with me, plastic tubing, 3/8 by quarter. So just so it's on the truck, and the tools to work on whatever machines I have. Second thing would probably be the vacuums. Vacuums are pretty easy to work with, but at the same time, switches can burn out, motors can burn out. Things can go wrong, so a handle can get bent or whatever. So I always carry two vacuums with me. And there again, in carrying the vacuums, I usually carry the PowerFlight with the old Eureka frame. And so I would carry a 1-inch chisel so that you could clean out those grooves in the head of the machine. And it was very quick and easy. It's damp, it's not really wet, it's just damp, so you can take that chisel and it cleans it out very easily, put on a new belt, put it back together and clean. Or in my toolbox I'd also carry a couple strips in case the roller brushes are getting low on it, so I could do that right on the job, right in the back of the truck, quickly put on another brush or whatever it took. But just to make sure I would not have to ever go home for anything. Carry plenty of bags. I would usually keep one in the drawer, one bag of bags in the drawer, and one in the back of the truck. Just in case something got wet. I didn't want to have my bags get wet. And then hanging from the side I'd have maybe 10, 15, 20 belts, so that I always had plenty of stuff with me, and always made sure to keep that stocked. You'd like to have your MSD book with you. For everything you got in the truck, just collect your MSD sheets, put them in that book. I've never been questioned on it, but more and more that's happening, so just have it ready. Have a couple of extra invoice and estimate books in your truck. An extra tape measure. Just things that you might forget. I'd always have a little box with a bunch of pens in it. If I wasn't to hand them out, I still had plenty to work with at any time. Then for your spotting, so of course you want all your chemicals. I try not to carry too many. I carry all the spotters, that's for sure, and even the weird things where I'll carry some goof off or something like that. I want to make sure I got something for every situation. I want to carry a pair of snips. I want to carry a knife, best spouter's a knife when it gets down to it. If you got to cut this out or that out, carry a steam iron, either a regular steamer or an iron to work on the red stains where required. Usually that's not, or maybe more for getting wax out. And have like a bone scraper there as well. Have some brown paper in the truck because that seems to absorb the wax real good if you heat it up. And of course, then have all your pads. You're going to want some of your fiber pads. You're going to want your microfiber pads. You're going to want your glads or your mixture. You know, your blend pads or some cottons. You're going to want to have an AstroTurf pad. You're going to want to have one of everything in the truck enough of each one, no matter what job you get on. It doesn't take much room to put pads either on a small shelf or for the softer pads, several rolled up in a 5-gallon bucket, dry in your truck, so you always have them with you. Some people like to have the equipment to do burn tests on carpet. Personally, from years of cleaning, I've never really bothered much with the burn tests. A padder seems to be able to feel the carpet and tell what it is. You know what it feels like after it's been, a polyester, it's obvious, you know, what kind of carpet it is by the cowlicks and the way it flattens out, and the olefin by how hard it gets, and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, some people like to carry that as well. A couple blower fans. We of course, don't do flood work for the guys who have strictly padding equipment, but we do some condensation leaks and so where it doesn't take long to dry things out. But it's good to have some along. Some guys like to bring on a blower if they have a really filthy carpet to where they can get it dried, in a matter of minutes instead, before they leave the job, etc. And that's fine. You might want, of course, want to carry a Stepson or something similar. Doesn't have to be a Stepson, but or an Oric or any of them. Just something to do stairs with. I always carry an extra extension cord. Actually, I carry two. I carry one for if I need to get farther, or another one in case anything happens. Say you run over your cord with your machine and you chomp it in half with the counterbalance. Just have another 50-foot cord to throw on. It plugs right in at the handle, just so you don't have any trouble. So you can get through the job and be done with it. Let's see here. Another thing would be a black light. Like to have one along just to make sure you can check for any urine stains or whatever organic stains you might have in a carpet. It's just handy to have it with you. Any parts that can break down, I said that before, your O-ring and your with the bearing, a little bit of hose, a couple jets, maybe jet screens in the front in case it gets blocked. That pretty much gets you through any kind of a problem. Any other kind of problem would be something that would take so long it was coming up. In other words, you can fix it at home. Don't have to worry about doing it on the job. The extra tape measure and so forth. So also have a pump-up sprayer and maybe a few sprayer bottles for spotters or whatever, but a pump-up sprayer is very helpful. You just want to be sure that when you get on that job, you're confident that no matter what arises on the job, you have what it needs. You might want a rake or a carpet broom. Certain carpets, that's an advantage over leaving the vacuum marks and what have you. But just bring everything you need, because in the long run, how long does it take to go home and have to get something and go back to the job? And from history, it's never the job next door. It's the job in the next town where this kind of stuff happens. So if you have everything you need and you never have to break away from a job to finish it, you figure that over a year, there's a lot of money's difference, because us carpet cleaners make awfully good money by the hour. That time spent driving around the truck just don't cut it. So I just hope these few tips help, and talk to y'all later.